welcome to a video where we're going to talk all about what to do if your appetite is all over the place from anxiety. And let me tell you from my own experience that I have definitely been on both ends of the spectrum. More often I've actually fallen on the end of I'm anxious and therefore I'm super hungry. But there can also be a lot of times where people who are struggling with anxiety lose their appetite, and really it makes it really hard for them to know what to eat at all. So in this video, we're going to touch on both areas: what to do if you have no appetite, and also what to do if you feel like you're ravenously hungry and you want to eat everything in sight and nothing feels like it's going to satiate you. Okay, so first we'll talk about what to do if you have a really low appetite because of your anxiety. So my first recommendation is to really focus on foods that are easier to digest. So this includes things like cooked vegetables, lots of starchy vegetables like yams, sometimes legumes for people, baked potatoes, beets, parsnips, anything that's root vegetable, cooked and grounded. Also doing things that your body loves. So foods that you instantly just feel comfortable eating, go for those. Don't feel like you shouldn't be eating them, or like I know we've talked about increasing the diversity of your diet, but again, just focus on what you actually can get down, because at this point it's just important you're getting enough calories for your brain to be functioning properly. Other things that are really helpful would be like perhaps like a piece of sourdough toast with some avocado and sea salt on top, or some banana with nut butter, whatever you can eat to just get down and that feels good. Another tip I have for you is to try to consume smaller meals more frequently instead of giant big, like 3 big meals. So don't feel like you need to have huge portions at each meal, because if you don't have an appetite, obviously that's going to be really hard. So instead eat smaller meals throughout the day and lots of frequent snacks. Another idea is to enjoy some more calming teas like chamomile tea, which I've already talked about, or a ginger tea, which can help to stimulate the appetite, or mint tea, anything that is going to really kind of calm that nervous stomach that you might have. That's a great idea as well. You can also see in our last module where we talk a bit more about mindful eating, which can really help to sort of prime your appetite and get your body accustomed to knowing that it's time to eat and that you need these nutrients, and kind of get your body and mind on that same page. And last but not least, just be patient with yourself. Know that it can take a while as you're changing your diet and really trying to include more foods, that it's not often going to come right away. It really can take a while to build up your appetite, but doing your best to eat these smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day is super important and a great place to start. And then on that note, just knowing to do your best to also include more healthy fats and foods that are really do pack a punch in terms of calories. Now let's talk about what to do if your anxiety makes you hungry all the time and ravenous and you have a huge appetite. First and foremost, my recommendation for you is to be sure you're getting enough proteins and fats within your meals. These are what you're really going to use to ground you, going to stabilize your blood sugars, and going to satiate you. So if you find yourself always going for that big bowl of pasta or carbs or whatever it might be, totally understandable. Of course we need carbs, especially when we are feeling anxious, but be sure you're also getting enough proteins and healthy fats. So adding avocados to your meals, or some delicious salad dressing with olive oil, or my favorite, which is tahini. Lots of great things you can do. Sprinkling hemp hearts on top of your meals, making sure you add in some chickpeas or tofu, tempeh, eggs, whatever it might be, to be sure you're getting enough of that protein and healthy fats. Another tip is to do your best to avoid addicting foods. And by these, I mean things like pop or chips or cookies, anything where they don't really have a ton of nutrients. They're kind of just empty calories, because your body isn't getting the nutrients. It's not signaling to your brain at all. And who knows, whatever you're eating, some of these foods really do have those addicting qualities. And if your body's not really cluing into your hunger cues, it's going to just want more and more of the pop or the cookies or whatever it might be, the chips, whatever your kind of vice is there. So do your best to avoid those. Again, not out of restriction, but just know at this point your body's not really cluing into its hunger cues, so you just need to be more mindful and swap for healthier things that, you know, like maybe make your own kale chips or your own potato chips or whatever it might look like to replace these foods so that you're not just eating all of these mindlessly addictive foods. Another great tip is to be sure you're staying hydrated throughout the day. So a great idea is to try to drink at least 2 more cups of water than you currently are. So maybe that means adding in a cup in the morning and then a cup in the afternoon that you don't already have. So trying for that, like anywhere from like 10 to 12 cups a day is a great aim. And again, this will be different for everyone depending on your exercise levels and your body weight and things like that. But just doing your best to get in enough water is a really important one because your brain does need water as well. And that can kind of help. Sometimes when we're hungry, we're actually just dehydrated. And then here's a few questions to ask yourself. So are you eating just because you're anxious? If that's the case, totally get it, definitely have been there. Here are a few things you can do. So firstly, try inviting some more mindfulness before eating your snack or your meal. So that can be as simple as sitting with whatever you're wanting to have and not again out of restriction, but just kind of be there and take a few deep breaths and just ask yourself like, okay, like I'm gonna eat this, I'm going to do my best to stop when my body feels full and ask your body to show you those cues. Another great idea is to try to wait about 15 to 20 minutes between your helping. So I am definitely like a second helping kind of person. I love having bigger portions as my meals. I don't know if it's always the best thing for me, but I just love the taste of food. So I do often have seconds, but I do try to wait a bit, and I encourage everyone else to, especially if you are noticing your anxiety is making your appetite rapid fire. Try to wait at that 15 to 20 minute mark between your meal or between your seconds, just to, again, allow your stomach to fill up, allow those cues to reach your brain. And then lastly, if you decide you're eating a ton, just because you're anxious and you're really not hungry, every time you are tempted to grab that snack or the chips or whatever it may be, try to do something else instead, and then you can always go back to eating if you decide that you still really want it. So again, you're not restricting yourself, but maybe suggesting, okay, I really want this thing, but I know my body's not hungry. This isn't actually what it needs. So instead, maybe you phone a friend, or you go for a walk, or you do some like breathing exercises, or you watch a favorite episode of your favorite TV show, or whatever it looks like, to maybe just distract yourself and get your mind off your anxiety. Journaling is an amazing thing to do, just taking a few minutes to write in your journal how you're feeling or something you're grateful for or whatever else it might be. And lastly, similar to if you have a low appetite, because of your anxiety, if you have a high appetite because of your anxiety, again, just practicing patience with yourself. So knowing when your body is constantly in fight or flight mode, it does take a lot of energy from us just to be alive. And so know that you could actually be burning more calories and more energy. And so as we're working and doing all these other amazing things with your diet, eventually your appetite is going to level out. So in the meantime, be patient and just take those steps towards trusting your body, nourishing your body, and letting your body or your stomach and your brain kind of refine that connection and alignment. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful for you all. I will see you in your next video.